Alright, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be installing that engine right there. So it should be a bolt-in affair. It should be bolting in basically 60 to 80 horsepower with 50 to 70 pounds of savings. So a huge gain on what was in the car. So what was in the car was just a normal 5.0 with GT40P heads, Explorer intake, and an E-Cam. And it was dynoed at 240 horsepower and 270 something foot-pounds. So this new engine should be in the just above 300 horsepower range, hopefully. So we'll get it installed, and I think they're trying to do a dyno day later this year. So hopefully I can get it just dynoed also to see what it's kind of doing. And then some plans for over winter break is maybe to get some kind of ECU on there and get a dyno tuned and see if we can get just a little bit more out of it. But we'll see. So if you want to see more details on that engine, see the previous video where I went, or see one of the previous videos where I went over everything that is on that engine. I will link that up there somewhere, and you can see the aftermarket parts that are on that. So it is still just a regular 5.0, but it's got heads, cam, intake, all that kind of stuff to give it a little bit more power. All right, we're gonna get that engine off of that stand over there and get her put into the car. Alright, as I alluded to in a previous video, there was concern that the engine was too tall to fit underneath the stock hood. And yeah, it just barely clears or is sitting, so it's basically sitting on the engine right now. I need to get the fenders on to try to figure out if it's sitting too high or if it's going to be good. So as the hood comes down, this center area is hitting kind of right up here, and then this back brace back here is hitting on the back of the engine. I knew this could have been a possibility, and I did what I could to try to get the engine as low as possible. So I have some drop engine mounts that are usually for like fitting a 351 in here. So they're solid mounts. So this engine isn't going to move under torque or anything like that. So if it is hitting, it won't be like moving and rubbing or changing, hopefully. So I did do that and try to get the engine as low as possible. So that was supposed to drop the engine like 3/4 of an inch to 1.25 inches. Upon measuring, it looks like it dropped about 3.25. I am like as close as I can to the steering rack, so I can't really go any lower. So the reason that this engine is taller is it's got a 1-inch spacer between the manifold, which was put on because of the tall valve covers, which I'm told are put on because of the rockers that are on there. So I try not to break any of this down or change anything up. So I'm going to get the fenders put on to kind of see how much the hood might be sticking up or is not sticking up, and then we'll go from there. don't, I'll do it. Alright, go ahead again. All right, a little bit of a update. So we started up the engine. I got a tune with the engine that the previous guy ran, so I put that into the quarter horse that I have, and we started up, and the engine would not run. It just would not stay running. You had to keep giving it gas to keep it running. I checked the timing. It's all good at 10 degrees before top dead center. Fuel pressure looks good. So I'm not really sure why it wasn't running. It's a little disappointing. So the only other thing that I didn't have on the car was the mass airflow sensor that I got with the engine. So it is one that's set up for these 30-pound injectors, but it's a different plug. So the car is a 4-pin and the mass airflow that I got is a 6-pin. So I've ordered the adapter, but I don't have that right now. So I put my old tune from the previous engine, I put that back onto the car, and it's calibrated for the 24-pound injectors, not the 30s, but the car at least started, ran, idled, all that was good. It had a really bad exhaust leak at both of the manifolds to H-pipe connection. So that's what I'm kind of troubleshooting right now. Kind of reset it, and it was still leaking pretty bad. Kind of found out that the nuts were bottoming out, so maybe it wasn't being able to pull the flange all the way tight up to the manifold. So I'm going to put some washers underneath the nuts to try to be able to pull that flange tight up to the manifold. And we'll see if that helps. If it still leaks, then I guess I'll try to put some some kind of seam sealer stuff for exhaust on that ball and socket setup. Try to get that and kind of go from there. I've loaded up a new tune with the 30-pound injectors in there, so we'll see if the car will run any better. Not really trying to get a perfect tune, max power or anything like that. Just a tune where I can run the car is basically what I'm looking for right now. And later this year into maybe next year, I'll actually get the car dyno tuned. But for now, we'll just get it running as best we can. All right, so I got the exhaust leak fixed. All I did was put some washers on underneath the nuts, so that was able to pull it up tighter, because the nuts were bottoming out on the threads before actually being able to pull it tight. So luckily that was a nice easy fix. Got everything set up. So the ECU has a Motes quarter horse, and I'm using Tuner Pro RT to connect to it. So I have a tune loaded up from EFI Dyno Tuning. He has a base tune to kind of start from. It's the T4M2. So the stock one for this car is a T4M0. So this is just his tune that's kind of updated and should be a better place to start from than the stock one. So I've gone in there and updated it for the 30-pound injectors and for the mass airflow that I have, I think. So it's just a stock mass airflow on there right now. This looks like it's working. So we're going to go ahead and start up and kind of see if everything's kind of working correctly. So so it starts up, but it doesn't want to stay idling. So I'm going to start with just checking my idle screw. So I'm going to, I think that's done by pulling out the spout connector and ISC, unplugging that, and kind of seeing. So it did go into closed loop, and my coolant right now is at 98 F. So I think we're maybe warmed up enough, even though it only ran for like a couple minutes. But yeah, we'll go ahead and do that and see if we can get it, see if that's maybe the reason it's not wanting to idle, just to knock out mechanical issues first before you start messing with the tune anymore. All right, so on second thought, when going up there, I found that the mass airflow sensor wasn't even plugged in. So plug that in, so we'll give it a shot again now. That could have been why my air temperatures were reading so high. So I'll go ahead and cycle power on this. There we go, that looks, so yeah, air temperature's 80 Fahrenheit, which is what it is in here. So that's looking much better now. So let's give it a try again. Definitely helps to have all your sensors plugged in. Yep. Gonna wrap up this video. The engine is in, it runs, it needs tuning, which I knew that was gonna need to be done. I did get the tune from the guy when I bought the engine, but I don't have the connection for the mass airflow that came with the engine quite yet. So hopefully that's one of the reasons that the tune just was not working very well. So right now I'm running my old tune on it with it updated for the 30-pound injectors that are on this instead of the 24s on the other engine, and it runs okay. It has a little bit of issues cold starting, but nothing to be too concerned about right now. So the engine, to get it mounted in here with it being up higher, I got the 351 drop bracket, so that lowered the engine maybe about an inch. So that's enough to mostly clear the hood. So I am going to cut out probably this portion of this inner structure. That's not going to affect the hood or anything, but that should give me enough clearance to clear this intake. It looks like I might have had a little bit of rubbing from it, but the engine is solidly mounted, so it's not going to really vibrate too much, but I need to clearance that hood just so I don't have any issues down the line of, because you can kind of see when I close the hood kind of flexes up a little bit as it's folding over top of the intake, since this is all just fiberglass. Overall, went pretty well. The engine sounds really good. I haven't obviously been able to go romp it on it at all to try to see how it feels, but I do have an autocross this coming weekend, so I need to go run it, make sure that it has good power and that it's going to survive just the rest of this year until I can get it tuned. So I'm not going to get it tuned right now. I have a plan for this winter to change out to a better EFI system, and it's going to be like a DIY kind of setup and not mega squirt. But I basically want to try to get rid of this ugly distributor right here and run with a newer system. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned, and I'll give you the details on that as I start to learn them. But thank you for watching, and see you guys on the next one.